All right, in this video, we're going to cover sort of the more advanced chain selection type stuff. Round file versus square grind, where to find them, how to get them, how much it's going to cost you, and primarily, I will say right off of the bat that I am totally a convert. I love the square grind stuff, and that opinion is probably going to come out in the video. By the end of this video, you're going to want to try it. You definitely should try it because I swear it cuts faster and cleaner. Okay, so now we're going to talk about sequence. What that refers to is how your teeth, your cutting teeth, are arranged on your chain. Now, this chain is what they call a full comp or full complement chain, which means that you have a right side cutting tooth, connecting link, left side cutting tooth, connecting link, right side cutting tooth, connecting link, and so on and so forth. This is, on a normal cutting chain, this is the most amount of cutting teeth that you will get. And then we'll move on to the next one. This is what is called a full skip chain. So it has much less cutting teeth. It's not half, it actually ends up being more like 2/3. But basically, you have a right side cutting tooth, 2 connecting links, and then a left side cutting tooth. 2 connecting links, right side cutting tooth, and so on and so forth. Much less teeth. This can be advantageous for a few reasons, but we'll kind of cover that toward the end of the video. All right, and this is what they call a half skip chain. So half skip chain is left cutter, connecting link, right cutter. 2 connecting links, left cutter, connecting link, right cutter. And it's basically, it's a hybrid between a full comp chain and a full skip chain. And this can be useful in certain instances. But again, we'll cover that later. Okay, so we've brought out 3 different grinds or 3 different sharpening techniques of chain. We have a round file, which is your traditional type of chain. We have a factory square grind chain, which a lot of even semi-professional cutters don't really either have experience with square grind or square file, or they don't even know about it, a lot of them. It's kind of the new age thing. And then this one is a hand file square grind, and this is a converted chain. This is one that was a round file chain, and I've converted it to square. So we'll take a closer look at each one of those and kind of talk about my personal opinions as far as the advantages. Okay, so let's start out with the traditional round file. So round file is just exactly what it sounds like. It's round and you file it with a round file. It is by far the most common type of chain out there as far as the grinding type. There are absolutely grinders that you can use to make a round file chain as well. And the advantages, especially in the field, it is probably the easiest one to touch up. The disadvantage is, in my opinion, and I'll try and throw a little diagram up here as well, but in my opinion, because of the round nature of it, the very leading edge, which is the cutting edge, gets finer to make the same amount of sharpness, and there's less metal behind it to support it. So although it is a very good option and most people still use it, I personally think that especially for certain types of cutting and certain types of cutters, there is a better way. All right, now we'll talk about square grind. So this chain is a factory square grind. It came from Husqvarna. I haven't tested it enough to really decide whether I really like it or not, but what I can tell you is that overall, me personally, I'm sold on the square grind thing. And I think what it has to do with is you're able to maintain a finer and sharper overall leading edge on your top plate without compromising the structural integrity of the edge, I guess is the way to explain it. Well, you can see here there's a definite line where the straight angle of the top plate meets the straight angle of the side plate. There's kind of a shadow going down the center there. And of course, I'm still learning how to do this, and eventually I'll end up with a square grinder as well. But so far, this is what I've got. Now, this third chain here, what this is a brand new round chain that I took straight out of the box and converted it by hand to a square chain. And I did that with a triangle file. There's a couple of different hand files that you can use to do square. And I'm not the best at it. I'm still learning, but it definitely cuts. And you can see very clearly in this shot that there is the remnants of a round gullet in there, and I'm just starting to go back with the square. It's the second or third time that I've sharpened this chain with a triangle file, so it's getting there. And this is an extremely fast cutting chain, and the longevity is definitely there as well. Unless I mean, obviously, if you hit a rock or a nail or anything like that, it is going to negatively affect your longevity and your durability. But overall, it seems to be a very long-lasting edge. So where do you get chains? I get chains multiple places. Online is always a little bit of a crapshoot. There are certain websites, Bailey's Online, they do a ton of saw stuff and woodcutter stuff. They've got a pretty good website and pretty good selection of chains. And the thing that I like about Bailey's is that usually, either from the description that they have or the pictures that they have of the chain, you can actually tell pretty close what quality the tooth is and the sequence of the chain. Now, a lot of times you can buy chains on Amazon and they're usually way cheaper than everything. Amazon is kind of you can definitely get cheaper chains there. And, you know, you can buy steel chains, you can buy Husqvarna chains, you can buy all kinds of chains there. But you never really are 100% sure. Usually you'll get the numbers right. The pitch will be listed, the number of drive links will be listed, and the gauge will be listed. But you won't necessarily know whether you're going to get a round chain or a square chain. You won't know if it's going to be a skip chain or a full comp chain, which to me, that stuff makes a lot of difference. To some people it doesn't, but I'm really picky about the chains. So I actually avoid buying chains on Amazon usually. I also like to know my local saw shops, right? And I don't really have a lot of saw shops around here, but what I do have is the rental places, the equipment rental places. All of them that are around here have chains for sale and usually a lot of parts and stuff too. So get to know your local distributors of different chains and see what they've got. I even, every time I walk into Lowe's or Home Depot, I'll go check out and see what they've got. Sometimes they're stock chains. Oregon makes a great chain, and they're usually what you find in the bigger hardware stores. Now, the thing, I like really high-end chains. And what I mean by that, usually you can tell a high-end chain by the edge where the top plate meets the side plate and by the quality of the coating. You can just kind of see it. And steel, almost every steel chain I've ever cut with was a great quality chain. Husqvarna, most of them are very good. Oregon has multiple different lines, so you really have to know what you're looking at. You can get extremely good chains from Oregon. This one right here on the steel is an Oregon chain, and it's a great one. I love it. Cuts extremely well. But I've also had much lower quality Oregon chains where the plating on the teeth was not nearly as good. It seemed like the metal was softer. I just was not happy with them at all. Different chains come with different angles. They're going to have different angles as far as the top plate is concerned, different angles. If you're doing square grind, they're going to be undercut at different angles. So I know what you're thinking, Max, what's the best chain for me? And the answer is not so simple. The answer is the best chain that cuts for you. Most of this stuff is experimentation. I usually run the full comp chains and full chisel and as good and aggressive as cutters as I possibly can. But I also run large displacement, usually fairly hot running saws. If you have a saw that, say, your saw is, a 60cc saw that they recommend using a 24-inch bar maximum, and you're using a 24-inch bar and you're cutting hardwood, maybe you need to go to a half skip chain or a full skip chain because you're not getting as much chain speed as you need. It's all experimentation. The way that you sharpen it is going to affect how well it cuts. The shortness of your depth gauges or your rakers is going to affect that as well. So it all is just personal preference and what works the best for you. Hopefully that helps, and look forward to another cutting video. I think we're going to take down kind of a sketchy cottonwood behind my parents' house, and it's close to the house, so it should be a good video. So for more of this type of content, please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up if you want to. Give me a comment if there's some sort of content that you would like to see me cover, but please subscribe. Thank you.